Hi everyone, welcome to Naturally Immune for Life. This is a very exciting day for me. What if I told you that I, not I personally, but I'm about to share a paper with you that will collapse $1 trillion racket. Now, this has been 22 years of my life. I have been on this like a dog on a bone, and that day is finally here. And the only stone left to uncover was diabetes type 1 and type 2 in the pillars of disease, chronic disease. And this paper has done that spectacularly. There are 185 sources, and I have included the paper and the specific source that you should keep in mind. So, the title of the post is Microbiota Plays a Critical Role in Immune Disorders. The gut microbiota has been studied for decades, and conclusive evidence shows that it influences the development, homeostasis, and function of the immune system. The gut microbiota interacts to T cells or signals via toll-like receptors and node-like receptors. These signals mediate cell induction and function, thus ensuring homeostasis in the human immune system. Different types of bacteria in the gut help guide how T cells grow and develop. These include T cells like Th1, Th2, and Th17, and regulatory T cells, Treg cells, which help control the immune system. Gut bacteria also make small substances called short-chain fatty acids. These help turn T cells on or off and keep the immune system balanced. Studies in germ-free mice without gut bacteria, show how important this is. These mice have fewer Treg cells, no Th17 cells, and an imbalance in other T cells, leaning too much toward a Th2 response. When certain bacteria are added back, their immune system shifts and becomes more balanced again. New research using advanced tools has also shown that mice with a more natural mix of bacteria, like wild mice, have immune systems that act more like humans compared to standard lab mice. Overall, these findings show that gut bacteria play a big role in shaping the immune system. Changes in these bacteria are linked to diseases where the immune system does not work properly. Gut microbiota dysbiosis is caused by a variety of mechanisms, including improper infant gut development from formula feeding, microbiome imbalance, immune dysregulation, proinflammatory mechanisms, and metabolic activities. Dysbiosis leads to various T cell related diseases, including rheumatoid arthritis, type 1 and type 2 diabetes, and this is the key, the last stone to be unturned, asthma, cardiovascular disease, inflammatory bowel disease. Remember now that IBD is now an umbrella term encompassing a variety of inflammatory gut-related disorders, cancer, liver disease, and psychiatric disorders. Despite the importance of understanding microbiome T cell interactions, most immunology experiments have been performed with limited microbiome composition, such as specific pathogen-free (SPF) or germ-free (GF) mice. Experimental results using gnotobiotic, that is, specific colonized mouse models in the drug development stage, cannot fully represent humans. To address these limitations, a fecal microbiota transplant, FMT mouse model with a gut microbiota similar to that of humans was developed using human or wild mouse feces. The FMT mouse model has an abundant and more diverse gut microbiome than current experimental animal models. Mice implanted with the wild mouse or human microbiota not only exhibit different degrees of microbial diversity, but their systemic immunity is also affected. So the key understanding, in addition to, they've conceded that they had to develop a mouse model that was ethical, that they could use ethically for studies of the microbiome. And two, they've conceded that they have to use wild mice or human feces from a healthy donor. So in the simplest terms, what this means from a fundamental approach is that humans and animals are distinctly different, except for their mammalian immune development and their future environment. Furthermore, without that mammalian immune development, each will become extinct due to the overwhelming threats beginning at the earliest stages of life via their immature microbiome and immune system, with each issue compounding onto the next generation of offspring. Dysbiosis leading to diabetes type 1 and type 2 offers biological assurance and alarm that this is affecting humans at the most basic level of energy creation. Significant advances have been made in immunology and microbiology, using microbiota and germ-free animals and next-generation sequencing. Many such studies have revealed the correlation between the gut microbiota and the immune system. Research shows the role of gut microbiome in activating T cells and the development and promotion of autoimmune diseases and various cancers. FMT mouse models of human and wild mice are expected to increase the success rate of preclinical studies. This will make it possible to overcome the limitations of using germ-free and specific pathogen. Let me go back and get that last word there. SPF. Specific pathogen free. So this also eliminates, this takes infectious disease almost completely off the table as a primary critical factor. Okay, where was I? FMT mouse models of human and wild mice are expected to increase the success rate of preclinical studies. This will make it possible to overcome the limitations of using GF or SPF mice and will open new avenues for disease treatment and prevention based on the distribution of the gut microbiome. So this means that fecal microbiota transplants from a healthy donor, and that's going to be the hardest part, is healthy donor, They're probably going to have to go to the Amazonian rainforest to find generations of breastfeeding specimens that have had no antibiotics and no vaccines. That's my prediction. And then they will have a better understanding, and even that might not be ideal because everything is local. So their gut developed along with their diet, but that's what they're going to have to find. So this, I can't even tell you. I can't even tell you. So this is also going to end the strawman arguments against GCMAF and MAF and Bravo yogurt and all the like, because it is not ethical to be doing these studies without a perfect mouse model. Remember, human studies or infant studies cannot be ethically done regarding the development of a human microbiome and immune system. In some rare instances, specific formulas can be tried on premature infants in order to improve their chances of survival. So when you run across this, just remember that that's a fallacy argument. They just can't be ethically done. You cannot wipe out an infant's gut. Germ-free mice do not live very long. You cannot introduce specific pathogens. And you cannot eliminate diet as a factor. So you also can't starve them to death. So it's just not ethical, and it's just not possible. So let me get back to the hierarchy here. And the last stone unturned, the conundrum was not specifically breastfeeding. We knew that diabetes and type 1 and type 2 existed when people breastfed since time began. But the question always was, is it the pancreas? Is it the liver? Is it the gut? What is the chicken always comes before the egg, but what specifically is playing the leading role here? And this paper indicates that it is indeed the gut. So let me just get to this critical order of importance here. And by the way, this in no way means that I negate the effects of antibiotics, vaccines, alcohol, drugs, diet, poor sanitation, etc. All of those can lead to dysbiosis. But the critical factor is the development, the proper development of the gut and immune system as the best preventative measure that one can take. And then I'm just coming down here because I always forget the hierarchical order here, of which comes second. Okay, breastfeeding, food, and water security. And that would be sanitation. So those are the major protective factors against the critical factors in the maturation of a healthy gut microbiota for a mammal. And then also, how do you know this? There's always a nexus point when things reach critical mass, and you can probably rest assured that lifespans are shortening. And this list of diseases that I just read, these are affecting children at earlier and earlier stages. So again, the generation that got the best of all worlds probably lived in the early part of the 1900s. They most assuredly got breastfed. They didn't have a large incorporation of processed foods. They had clean water and they had enough food. And that is probably the longest lived spread of the most amount of people that lived the longest in terms of lessening risk factors. And then in the early part of the 1900s, diarrheal diseases and pneumonia began to disappear. Cancer began to rise. Diabetes began to rise. And of course, all other chronic disorders began to rise as well. So this is, I don't necessarily need to have any more proof. Will I live to see this FMTs as standard practice in my lifetime? I hope so, but I don't know. And then that will tell the final tale. But this is just unbelievable. And now I can't remember if I said it, but I had this for a while and I didn't have time to read it, and I thought I forgot the title of it. I had to search for it again. And then I just couldn't believe what I was reading when I got to the end of it. But this could pretty much wrap up my site, because unless I decide to do a revised edition of my book or take the nuclear option and do some collaborations with other people who have reached other bottom line conclusions such as this, and find a more receptive audience. But I don't know yet. I haven't decided, and 22 years is a long time, and I just can't believe that day is finally here. But it's not to me, it's to 11 years ago, I walked away from infectious disease and focused solely on this for very good reasons. And I've never looked back. And I knew I should never look back. And I honestly can't believe that day is finally here. So let me just say I just don't know if I want to continue to do content for content's sake. That really is, there's no point in that. That's the purpose of information is that I reach a conclusion and you reach a conclusion, and then you act on that conclusion. Content for content's sake is a waste of both of our time, and I just don't know if I want to continue with that unless there is something that could help people with, specifically with energy creation. That would probably be my only focus, and some way to increase vitamin synthesis to prevent malnutrition. That would be my only other concern. But we'll see. We'll see if I get interested enough to continue any further. But for now, if you care about yourself, if you care about anyone that you know is suffering, remember the goal is to reduce complexity. And this is specifically what the pillars of disease do. Those 6,000 labels are ridiculous. 5,000, now it's 6,000, and it's still counting. And now you have people with 1, 2, and 3 immune disorders. That's generational compound interests of a primary problem, which is primarily not breastfeeding generationally. So, thank you so much, everyone, and I truly hope you'll share this, and there's really nothing else to say. There's nothing else to say. They've conceded defeat, that they can't come up with a genetically modified mouse that resembles humans enough, and they've conceded that the gut is the primary focus of chronic disease and T-cell related diseases. So for the pioneers who've invested and suffered more persecution than I have, although I still have my scarlet letter, so I would invite you to go to my very first post on this page 2 and help defend me from that false charge. I firmly believe that the real problem was that I was firmly against formula feeding as the main claim against me, because that post, if you go to that page, you'll see that I have clearly exonerated that particular post, and there was no reason for the charge. In addition, I don't influence enough people on any platform to be a threat to anybody over an ozonate or a post like that. Although it is a major threat to infectious disease theory, but and virology, but it was generally no threat to anybody, because it wasn't I wasn't advocating taking a drug, and I definitely did not use the word cure. So, okay, happy day. And thank you so much for your time. And remember, I do have Gut Fix 101 And let's all look forward to the development of a microbiota FMT, or I don't know how they're going to do it, but let's all look forward to that. And I have only seen the results of one. I don't know who did it, what country. I don't know any particulars. I only know that after a 2-year follow-up, the results were still there. So that's all I know about that. And please do not try this at home. There are risks to this, as there are risks to everything. And I have actually seen people giving themselves enemas with their partner's feces. Please, please, please do not be ridiculous and even think of trying that. I don't care how clean or sure you are that your partner is healthy. Please don't do that. I have seen that on YouTube. Don't do it. Please don't do that. Don't get desperate enough to even think about it. You could literally kill yourself. And don't do it, please. Okay. So, okay, everyone, thanks so much for your time. And this is a very, 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 very happy day. 22 years, a topic that I never chose. And I am just a layperson, but I think everyone in the medical profession and research field who did help guide me along the way when I needed some pertinent questions answered and which direction I should be going in. So I thank them very much for that. Okay, thanks again, and you have a great day and a great week, and I'll be back as soon as I think of something pertinent to say, but I hope that you will help me make this video go viral. And do the best you can to say this is the end of this chapter in the book that has been a complete disaster for the world, definitely since the 1950s, 60s, and definitely for at least 100 plus years. These diseases, many of these diseases did not even exist in the middle part of the 1800s and prior. So it is a great, great, great day. These are all modern. Many of these are simply modern ailments. And as I said, when it comes to supplements, drugs, vaccines, diets, this wipes out $1 trillion racket. Okay, thanks again. Bye.